We'll be looking at the fundamental update for 10th of August to 15th of August 2025. If you're following me by now, you should understand that I'm dropping fundamental updates every single weekend on a Sunday or on a Saturday, explaining what we are expecting for the week. But first of all, we are going to be looking at what happened last week and how it affected the markets. By now, you should understand fundamental is the backbone in trading. Once you understand the fundamental markets, once you understand what is happening in the fundamental markets, right, you can now use that to place your trade using technical analysis. To me, I see technical analysis for just entries, while fundamentals shows you the big picture of the markets. You understand why gold is buying, you understand why DXY is selling, you understand why JPY is strong or why GBP is weak. You understand all these things make it obvious and clear using fundamentals. Any trader that is trading without fundamentals or without even understanding what is happening in the fundamental market, I simply understand that trader is just trading blindly. Do you understand? Based on my years of experience, I'm speaking based on fact. And this week we have pretty much a very, very important news coming up. We have the CPI, we have the PPI. Do you understand? These are the most important news in which investors are going to focus on. But first of all, before we go into this, let us understand what happened last week. I told you all that all these red folders you saw, based on my previous fundamental analysis, if you all watched it carefully, what I said for a fact, I told you all that all these red folders, most of them wouldn't even affect the market. You see, when you are learning fundamental analysis as a beginner, they do tell you that all these red folders would affect the market. You see a huge move whenever the news is released, and most of us try to run away from this news. Why? Because we feel like it's going to affect the market. But the honest truth is they didn't. We looked at the USD service PMI. It came out 50%. I'll explain what that means. But before we go into that, I told you it didn't really move the market, just like the way NFP or CPI usually move the market. Do you understand? We looked at the CHF CPI. For CHF CPI, I'm not really looking at the currency CHF when it comes to charts, but I can tell that yes, CPI is actually very, very important news, and it must have had a little bit of effect on the market. The one that actually took a huge volatility in the market was the GBP, right? And which was on the monetary policy. Now, when it comes to monetary policy, this is just simply what the bank or what the Fed expects about interest rates in a particular economy. So this came out on Thursday, and on GBP specifically, it came out positive, which means the bank are expecting to hike interest rates in GBP. And how did this affect the chart? Let's look at the chart for a while and see how it affected the chart. Let's look at GBPJPY. I told you all that GBPJPY will come to this level and give us a massive sell-off, right? But what happened? There was a news on interest rates hike, and this actually broke this level. It broke this level and made this key level invalid. Once a key level is broken twice, right? Once a key level is broken twice, the first one was here and the second one was here. Once it's broken twice, the key level is now invalid and the market doesn't care much about it anymore. So it stops wherever the market cares about. And then the new key level we are going to be looking at is here. The new key level in which the market is likely to respect is this level over here. And I'll be explaining why I feel like market is going to respect that level based on fundamentals. Let us also look at what happened on GBP CAD. We can see a very huge bullish spike. Actually, I missed this trade. When I saw this, I was like, I didn't actually take this trade. And this was actually a setup of mine. I would have actually taken this and had a very good long run over to the top here. This would have been like up to 110 pips, 90 pips, or 100 pips upward. That would have been a very, very good one. And GBP as a currency is the base currency in all these pairs I'm showing you. The base currency, once a good news is being released, the currency the whole currency pair on its own become bullish. So there was an interest rate hike on GBP, which is good for the economy and which is good for investors. Investors will actually start investing more on that pair, and which gave this huge bullish move. Let us also look at GBP AUD. You can see the same thing. There was actually a very huge bullish spike over here, and you can see that the market gave us a good bullish run to the top. I'll be giving you my prediction for this week on GBP AUD as well. So Also GBP USD. Now GBP USD is something I was looking at to go bullish, but actually I missed the entry. This blue zone here was my entry for the pair, and I was hoping that the market will come all the way down here, sweeping liquidity before pushing up, but the market left me and went up to 150 pips last week, which was very, very sad when I saw it. But still, we wouldn't chase trades. You understand? Professionals don't chase trade. So that is it for GBP. Just wanted to give you all reasons why GBP was bullish, because most of you didn't even know. Do you understand? Most of you didn't know. This is the importance of fundamental. You understand the story that is happening in the background that will let you all, come up with, okay, yes, a good analysis that will fit both the fundamental and the technical. So also, we also had USD unemployment claims. Now, what does this mean? Unemployment claim means amount of people that are saying that they are unemployed in the society, and if the number come out higher than expected, it means greater number of people were claiming to be unemployed at that particular period or at that particular month, which is bad for the economy. And once you see this folder showing red, it signifies that it is bad for the economy. But so far, all the way back in history, we have been seeing green, which gave the reason why dollar was bullish for a while. But now we can all know that dollar is back to being bearish. So we also saw card unemployment rates. Card unemployment rates came out green, came out positive, which was a positive effect on card on its own. But this news didn't really affect the market. Remember, I told you markets always have focus and markets always have team. You should understand the market focus and the market team, and the only way you can do this actually is by understanding fundamental. And that's why you have me here. That's why you need to be watching my videos every weekend, so that you can understand the market team and the market focus, because I'll be dropping these videos every single weekend. So now, what do we have for this week? Well, starting off on Monday, August 11th, as of the time I'm making this video, this is August 10th, which is on a Sunday. On the Monday, we're going to be having bank holiday. Bank holiday for JPY pairs, that's the Japanese yen. So, which means the pair is going to be a bit slow. You might not really see much volatility depending on what particular currency pair you are trading. But if let's say there's volatility in USD, it might actually give volatility to USD JPY. But JPY on its own will have very low volatility. That's why it's actually very, very important, even if you are turning off every folder in your trading factory, right? Because when you go over to this zone over here, you see the ones that you want to turn up. If I turn on this yellow one and this orange one, I'll be seeing the yellow and orange folder, which is not important. But you see this gray one, right? The gray one is important, so that you know when there will be volatility in the market and when there is no volatility in the market. So that is the first one that will affect the market. Now, the most important day is Tuesday. What is the market team, or what is the market focus for this week? Is simply going to be focused on inflation, CPI data. We want to know what the CPI data would be. Why? Because this CPI data would give USD, or will give the Fed or the central bank the decision in which they will take either to cut interest rates or to hike interest rates. Currently, USD and the Fed, they are supporting cutting of interest rates, which is making the dollar bearish at the moment. Do you understand? So based on Tuesday, I am not looking at any other data apart from USD core CPI, USD CPI, and yes, let me use this opportunity to explain this. Whenever you see M/M and Y/Y, which one is more important? I will tell you to stick to the M/M. What does that mean? It means month on month. Do you get? We are looking at the inflation data for this month, comparing it with previous month. Do you understand? Year on year don't really affect the market, but you see the one month on month, it affects the market. So whenever you see this month on month come out, let's say this month on month comes out positive, and this year on year comes out negative, which one are you going to focus on? The month on month. Do you understand? And also, you also be looking at the core CPI too as well. The core CPI too as well. What does that mean? It's just simply trying to tell you the inflation data without food and energy. Whenever it comes to core, anything core means they're removing things that are too volatile, like price of food and price of energy. What does energy mean? Like price of oil, price of fuel, price of all these things that would be used to generate electricity and all. That is it. And the price is usually very volatile, so they remove the price from the inflation data and they show you other aspects of inflation that rose or that fell. Do you understand? So that is just simply the difference between core CPI and normal CPI. And also, when you're looking at, make sure to be looking at the one M/M. So that is the most important news for this week, and that is the market focus. Market focus is going to be on inflation and what it is, and this is going to be released on Tuesday, August 12th. Now, if you don't know how to trade fundamental, I will tell you to stay out, because most of you don't actually know what you're doing. You go and be placing trade in that pair. If you don't have a running trade that's already in profit, right, stay out of the market and wait for the news to be released. By next week, I'll also be explaining what the data means and how it will affect the market. So on Wednesday, we also have, wage price on AUD, which is not important. We also have USD, core PPI on Thursday, which is very, very important. That one too, you can use the data to predict the next inflation data or the next CPI data. Well, that's another fundamental story for another day. Well, that is simply it for the most important news that will affect the market. The rest, trust me, we won't even move the market. The market doesn't even care about any of these other news. The ones I just mentioned now are the ones markets really care about, and that is the market team and the market focus. Now, let's go into what happened in the chart and what we are expecting the market to do. Well, last week, let's go over to DXY, which is very, very important. Well, last week I told you all that dollar looks bullish technically, but fundamentally dollar looks bearish, and dollar was actually at this particular zone here, at this zone, which is at the 99.00 zone. It was testing this key level last week, and I told you all that possibility market will break it. Do you understand? Because fundamentally we are looking at monetary policy on interest rate cut. What does that mean? It means that the investors are seeing dollar to be weak. Why? Because they're about to cut interest rates, which means that the economy is not going to be really strong. They only cut interest rates when the economy is not strong, and they hike interest rates when the economy is doing well. So if they are cutting interest rates, it means the economy is not strong, and we are seeing a bearish move on dollar. And just as I predicted, the market came out bearish. So what are we expecting this week? Well, I'll just expect a little bit of retracement to this zone before we can continue with a sell-off. But based on dollar, I would say dollar is actually at a range in this particular area. So we are just going to draw this over here as well, and we're going to be hoping that, yes, okay, if market taps on this zone and give us a massive sell-off, it should at least stop here. You understand? But the big picture, dollar actually looks pretty much bearish. You can see dollar looks pretty much bearish. And also, what happened last week, I want you to understand that on Friday last week, Trump dropped another tariff announcement. You see, tariff is an uncertainty that is actually moving the market at this period of time. It dropped a tariff announcement which came out negative, right? It came out negative for most of the economy, saying that tariff might even increase up to 100%, which is very, very bad for the economy. And we saw, based on this, we saw gold being bullish. You understand? Last week I also told you all that gold might retest all the way back to this lower level, but it didn't. It just kept on being bullish. Why? Because the uncertainty is actually very, very strong. Where is the next key level we are looking at on gold? Simply, we are looking at this zone, so you should be very, very careful with this zone. If markets gets back to this zone, at least you should see a little bit of resistance, and then before maybe we can see a massive push to the upside. But my take on gold is still pretty much bullish based on economic uncertainty, right? When there's economic uncertainty like war, tariff announcements, trade war, anything that is affecting the economy negatively, gold will be bullish. But anything that is affecting the economy positively, gold will be bearish. Yes, gold doesn't like when things are going well. So take that down. So another thing we'll be looking at is JPY pairs. Now, what is my take on JPY pairs? I am still pretty much bearish on CADJPY. I'm still pretty much bullish on Japanese yen. Japanese yen on its own is also a risk-off currency. What does risk-off currency stands for? It means that currencies that show strength during economic uncertainty. Understand? So during this period, JPY is supposed to be picking up. Why? Because the tariff announcement is affecting the JPY pair. let me remove all this. This is just simply what I was using when I was back testing the pair. So let me make the chart a little bit more clear. So what is my take? My take is that CADJPY has come all the way to this area of, support, or I'll call it the key level. We want to look for a good confirmation before we, take the sell. Most times the market might actually take out a little bit of liquidity before going lower. That is why you don't just sell here. Do you understand? You don't just sell at a key level. But based on the ones I've been doing so far, like I traded this and I made good profits from here. Well, what I did is I waited for a confirmation in the lower time frame. So if I should take this trade, I won't just sell immediately. So in case market should still go up, trust me, I didn't take the trade. But if I see a good confirmation and then markets give me a sign that yes, it's about to keep selling, I would obviously sell and make money from this pair. So another pair I'm looking at is the GBPJPY as well. Most of you would say, oh, I told you all that GBPJPY is going to be bearish last week and it came out being bullish. Well, that's because of the news that was released on GBP. Do you understand? But that doesn't mean that has changed the story of GBPJPY. GBPJPY still simply looks bearish to me, but I would love to wait for a confirmation at this zone. Do you understand? Like I told you all earlier, if you wait for confirmation at key level, you stand a like chances of not being taken out. Like this particular zone over here, I would have waited for a confirmation if market got here before taking my trade. So if market doesn't give me that confirmation, I'm not taking a sell. Let's look at which other pair should we look at? Let's look at GBP AUD, right? Let's look at GBP AUD because I was seeing a very pretty much good setup over on GBP AUD. Now I want to let you all in on a secret. AUD pair on its own is a risk on currency. What does risk on currency stands for? Risk on currency means that this currency pick up strength when the economy is doing well, and when the economy is doing poorly, when there's an uncertainty in the market, it loses strength. You understand? It stopped being strong. So now on GBP AUD, I am looking at a bullish ride because GBP is supposed to be stronger than AUD because AUD is a risk on currency, and if AUD is a risk on currency, it means that GBP AUD is going to be bullish. Why? Because AUD is weak based on the fact that we are looking at an economic uncertainty at this particular period of time. So I'm expecting to see a very good entry here, very good confirmation, and I'll take this pair on a bullish ride. Do you understand? So that's just simply what I'm doing. But also you have to be wary about this level because this level can actually be a kind of resistance to this particular trade. But we can see the market has broken the previous key level and has retested it and given us rejections, possible rejections in the 4 hours time frame. So this shows a very good trade to take. Do you understand? For our Euro AUD, or let's look at GBP USD. What is my prediction on GBP USD? Well, I don't actually see any entry on this pair. The first entry I had, the market has already left me. So the other one I'll be looking at is, let's say market should get back to this level. We can be looking at possible markets coming to retest here and keep going up, but I wouldn't take that trade because that is not part of my setup. It's not part of my pattern. Which other pair am I looking at? Based on Euro USD is actually another trade in which I missed an entry last week. Based on my fundamental analysis, everything I predicted last week went well. Most of my students made good profit from the analysis. Most of my students made profit from buying Euro USD. Most of them made profit from playing according to the fundamental game, because the honest truth is that fundamental analysis lead and technical analysis follow. So if you're using technical analysis only, you're actually killing yourself. One way or the other, you will lose your money and you will blow up your account. Why? Because you don't understand what is happening in the fundamental market. So this is a trade in which I missed on Euro AUD, which is my pattern, my setup, everything perfectly well, and I would have taken this on a long run, making up to 80 pips straight. But I don't usually cry over spilled milk, so I will just leave the market to do its thing. If market should retrace all the way back to this level over here, maybe we can be finding another entry for the pair and be pushing it all the way up. But based on my take, Euro USD is still bullish. Why? Because dollar is still bearish and we are in an economic uncertainty. As simple as that. So the market focus for this week, like I said, is purely based on what? Monetary policy and tariff uncertainty. The tariff uncertainty, I've already made everything clear, But the monetary policy, we are not too clear because we want to see if inflation will come out positive or negative. Most times inflation come out positive during, tariff uncertainty. Why? Because the tariff announcement affects inflation. It increases prices of goods and services, but that doesn't mean it's good for the economy. Why? Because an economy can be going down the drain, but inflation is increasing. That is something we call stagflation. When this happens, it means that the economy is suffering, but prices of goods and services is still increasing, which is very, very bad. So economy can still continue, USD can still continue selling, even if CPI should come out positive. Do you understand? Because it's just going to be obviously due to tariff. But based on what the Fed are expecting, they're expecting CPI to come out negative. So it will give them more room for an interest rate cut. Do you understand? So based on my fundamental analysis, I'll be giving the results to my fundamental student, to my macroeconomic students. If you're interested in being part of the macroeconomic student, as earlier, you can just simply register for the academy and for the course. The best part is that you can pay in any currency possible, and we are currently at a discount, which is at a $41 discount. The main price actually is $173, but we are giving it out at a discount. It's a 6 months training. You'll be understanding everything concerning fundamentals. I'll be teaching you how to read CPI news, how to trade with the CPI data release, how to trade with the NFP data release, PMI data release, FOMC. Do you understand? These are all the trades I've taken based on fundamental analysis. These are all my past records. Those who have my WhatsApp contact are seeing my wins. Also, I post my losses on my WhatsApp contact as well, on my status. You understand? If you're not there, you can just simply text me up with the link I'll be dropping in the description, and you can easily contact me on WhatsApp. You understand? This is my WhatsApp line over here, and you can ask questions based on anything that's confusing you in the fundamental analysis. And that is just simply it. I hope you all understood everything I explained in today's or in this week fundamental outlook. So I want you all to understand that the fundamental market is not something you should be scared of. Fundamental analysis is not something you should be scared of. Most traders are scared of it. Don't be scared of it. We use this data to understand what is happening in the market and how we can trade perfectly. With that being said, I want you all to have a lovely day ahead and a lovely trading week ahead. Make sure to follow everything I told you all. Be careful about the news I told you that are the most important, and make sure to ask me your questions in case you find anything confusing. Have a lovely day ahead.